Hi, dreamers. If you've been following me for a while, I think you might pass out this month because it's my biggest month yet. I am fully living off of my investment income at the moment, so I'm really trying to optimize and do research every single day. As you know, I ended my video game project in December, and since I've been able to focus on my option strategies and practice different trade styles almost full time in the last 3 months, you can really see the difference in my performance. So let's get to it. Today I'll review the end of the month totals where I show you my dividend and options income. This month I made over $25,400. So let's dive into the detail. Okay, so here we are in the spreadsheet, and as you can see, in March of 2024, I made $6,277 in dividends, which you can compare to the $7,700 in December of 2023. Now, a couple of differences you may see is that some of the money got pushed up to February 2024, as I've made some rotations that I'll be unveiling in about a month. But essentially, I'm adding cash to my options leverage. I'm adding to more diversified ETFs right now. But also another change affecting this month was that because of the way the calendar fell, a couple of dividends actually reported on April 1, such as Avgo and QQQX, which were included in that December number, but not in the March 2024. So be it. I'm going to stick to the calendar and not artificially move things around, and I'll just report those earnings next month in April. And so because of that, as you can see, my total dividends for the quarter were about flat from Q1 2024 to Q4 2023 at just over $24,000. So let's look at the detail in March. So the first thing I wanted to point out is just how beautiful this is. As you can see, I made about $1,000 each week coming in across the month of March, which, let me tell you, when you're actually living off of dividend income, feels really good when you have money coming in at a pretty even, equal rate every single week. And that takes a little bit of planning as you look at the positions and companies that you want to hold, making sure that they're quality but also pays out in a way that normalizes your income coming in. So here are the dividends that came in, starting with one of my absolute favorites, which is JHG. And nobody ever talks about this one, but it's been fantastic and a long-term hold for me. And so $159 from JHG. Then I got my first Devo payment at $99, Fortis, a Canadian utilities company, at $40, and here you can see a reduced position of Pfizer at $210. Then I have PTY, which is the only bond fund that I hold, but pays out monthly very steadily. I got $569 from PTY, and I finished out week 1 with $260 from TFC, which is Truist, a regional bank. And then you can see another $125 from Fortis. And the difference here is that one of my positions is in a taxable account and the other one is in a retirement account. And you know, sometimes Canadian companies take a little bit longer to pay out a dividend when you hold it inside of a retirement account. And so that's the reason for the two different dates. And then you can see my monster payout of just about $1,500 from JEPQ. And as you probably know, I did a dedicated video of JEPI versus JEPQ about 9 months ago when I started building this position. And over the last year, JEPQ has had an amazing total performance of almost 34% as compared to JEPI at just 14 total return. So I'm pretty pleased with JEPQ's performance. Then I got $16 from a small position in Southern Company, and just $2 from more of a growth play in Lilly. In week 3, I got just over $500 from IBM, and then just $1 from CVX, which I hold just to keep an eye on the oil prices, followed by $104 from MetLife, $26 from Microsoft, a position I'm building, about $170 from Prudential, $8 from APLE, a hospitality REIT, $16 from Cintas, another growth position I'm building, $210 from Realty Income, and $66 from Stag. In week 4, I got $207 from Duke Energy, $94 from Maine, and over $460 from Manulife Financial Corp, which is a Canadian company which has been amazing this year, with about a 40% total return over the last year. I got $20 from UNH, just about $90 from Qualcomm, and here you'll see $1 from QQQI. And if you've been following me for a while, you know what that means. It means I've started a very small position in something in order to test it and do more research before I do anything else with it. And so that's what's happening with QQQI as I think about whether or not I like this particular investment. Followed by $360 from SPY-I, which I did a dedicated video on very recently. I got just over $200 from SCHD, $53 from SOXL, which I primarily hold for wheeling options, $82 from TNA, which is another position I've been wheeling for options, $6 from a small position in BBR, very small dividends from IWM, IYW, and CALF, $73 from a growing position in VNQ, a couple dollars from VGT, and then $283 from Devo, one of my favorite ETFs. And to round out the month, $145 from BST, $7 from PFG, and $98 from Public Storage. Now let's get to the options. And I wanted to talk through the brief history of my options learning process, because this might be instructive to anybody who's on the same journey as me, or even thinking about starting the journey. So as you can see, in January of 2023, I was just getting the mechanics down. And then in February and March, you can see pretty evenly I was doing the same very low delta, or low risk, calls and puts in February and March. And I was thrilled with $8,000 extra across the quarter. And then you can see April through June, I started getting more comfortable and taking on a little bit more risk. So instead of deltas like 0.1, I would do more like 0.15 or 0.2. And lo and behold, I almost doubled my option income to over $15,000. And then in the third quarter, I really pushed my luck in July and was shocked that I made over $8,000, but took my foot off the gas a little bit in September, as I was still pretty risk averse. And then you can see in October through December, I really took my foot off the gas. And one of the reasons was I saw a rising market and didn't want to cap my upside, so I really stopped doing calls. And as I covered in my summary options video, I made a couple of bad trades in December, which brought my profit down to under $1,000. But take a look at the first quarter of 2024. And there's a couple of reasons why they're so incredibly high. One of which is that I finished my video game project, as I mentioned in the beginning. And so I've been able to focus on this on a daily basis more than just Monday for an hour and then Friday for an hour. And that has really made a huge difference. And in January and February, I really experimented with doing SPY and QQQ in shorter time increments. And I did pretty well. Now let me talk about March. So in total, I made 105 trades, and of the 105, 16 were assigned. So that's only about 15% assigned. I've definitely been increasing the deltas and keeping it more consistent at about 0.2 or even 0.25, knowing that I'm okay if it's assigned. And 3 examples of that were, I was assigned 300 shares of Google, which I've been wheeling back and forth, and that accounts for almost $2,000 of that $19,000. I continued to play SOXL, which I covered in a dedicated video several months ago, and I've been wheeling that back and forth to the tune of about $7,000 of that $19,000. And then the new addition is TNA, which if you've seen my dedicated video on small caps, you know I'm bullish in that area. And so I've been wheeling back and forth TNA, which accounts for over $8,000 of this $19,000. But the other game changer for me that's different in March from all the other months is that in this choppy market where we've been up and down, I've been opportunistically closing my options and then reopening them inside of the same week. And that has allowed me to leverage the cash available, which is about $150,000, over and over and over. And in a way, triple dipping on that money. Because as you know, I'm earning interest on the cash that I'm holding. I'm generating options income on the cash that I'm holding. And now I'm generating option income several times over on that same $150,000 cash. And so that is what contributed to me making over $40,000 in the first quarter of 2024 in options. Now, let me just say this. Ever since I started options, I have not had a negative month. And I know this is just options premium, but as a general rule, I'm not buying or selling for less than the strike price that I bought or sold the time before. So these premiums are pretty much my P&L. And just to put this in perspective for you, last year, Q1, Q2, and Q3 was $43,000. So I've made almost the same amount in Q1 that I made in the first 3 quarters of 2023 combined. Wow. So let's take a look at everyone's favorite, the cumulative income chart, and see how I'm tracking compared to last year. So with all of that said, as a reminder, my dividend total for 2022 was $75,000, and my dividend total for 2023 was just about $94,000. And as you know, I only started options in 2023, and my overall total was $142,758. And so here comes 2024, with my dividend totals being the dark green bar, and my all-in totals, which is dividends plus options plus interest, all of that is shown in the light green bar. And so my totals for March are $24,320 just for dividends, which is up from $21,820 just for dividends cumulatively in March of last year. And that's impressive for a couple of reasons. One is, as you know, I'm not adding anything to my investment portfolio anymore. And in fact, I've been taking out money every single month to live on. And I've also been rotating from high yield into more dividend growth stocks. So to see that pure dividend growth year over year is amazing to me and really shows the power of compounding. But then you can see how my strategy has really evolved and advanced and is kind of taking on a life of its own, with the light green bar at $66,386. And so that's the total cumulative investment income that I've made so far this year. Just think about that, guys. That means it's very likely that I will surpass the investment income that I made all year long in 2022 by next month. That just blows my mind. Now, just where do you think I will net out in 2024 with this all-in strategy? Let me know what you think in the comments. Well, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this dividend income update. And if you want a richer, real-time experience with me, you can always follow me on Instagram or X. And if you're doing your own research using Seeking Alpha, feel free to find the link below to subscribe if you want, no pressure. As always, I encourage you to do your own research, then implement and learn by putting it into practice. And as a reminder, I'm not a financial advisor, so keep in mind these videos are for entertainment and inspiration only. I'll see you on the flip side.